Istanbul's tourist problem. To be clear, the tourists aren't the problem. I'm going to talk about some of the problems that tourists face when they're here in Istanbul. Obviously, there's tons of amazing things about Istanbul. It's a beautiful city. But these are some of the things that people need to watch out for. Some of them are minor, some of them can escalate to more serious. Some of them are focused on women, some are focused on men, some either couples or both. I've kind of been wandering around the city. I've kind of wandered over into an area that I haven't been to before. I'm not even really sure where I am, although I do see the massive cruise ship. So that should be an obvious clue that I could look up. Oh, I see it says Galata Port. That makes sense. Galata Bridge down that way. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. Some of the issues that tourists can face here. So obviously some of these things, they're not specific to Istanbul. A lot of these things happen in big tourist cities around the world. But I'm going to talk specifically about what you will probably run into in Istanbul. Some of the minor ones, both men and women will run into. I mean, it's not a matter of, I guess they're scams. So these are basically scams from sort of smaller ones up to more serious ones. So one that men and women can run into are the perfume sellers. So they'll just come up to you with boxes of fake perfume basically, and you know, they'll want $10, $15, $20 for it, but they're basically worthless. They're just fake perfume, and they'll kind of be kind of pushy, kind of pressure you, but if you just kind of ignore them and keep moving on, it shouldn't be much of an issue. We're going to cut down here. Okay, and another one that again probably mostly targets men, but it could target women as well, is the shoe shine scam. So the shoe shine scam is basically where the shoe shiner will pretend to drop his shoe shine brush. Oh boy, lots of people through here. Okay, so back to the shoe shine scam. So basically they'll see you walking, and then they'll kind of start to walk out in front of you, going in the same direction as you, and then accidentally, on purpose, drop their shoe shine brush. And then you'll think, oh, I'm going to be a helpful person, and you'll kind of pick it up and you'll say, hey, excuse me, you dropped your brush. And they'll be so thankful that they'll want to shine your shoes. And at first they'll say, oh, free or really cheap. But once they shine your shoe, they want way more than it's worth. They want 10 times the value. They want $10 per shoe, or $10 or $20 total for a 1-minute shoe shine. And they're very persistent. So basically, you're not being rude if you just ignore the shoe shiner's brush. So if you see them drop their brush, ignore it, walk past it, don't acknowledge it. The next one that you really got to watch out for, this one focuses solely on women, solo women travelers, maybe if they're in a pair. This one is, they'll approach you and say, hey, are you interested in homemade crafts? Like, my family makes crafts out of their house or out of their shop. You know, come with me and I can show you some homemade crafts or handmade crafts. And obviously you'd think it's common sense, you know, don't go with somebody that you don't know to their house. Nice view of the water over here. That's the Asian side over that way. I'm on the European side right now. So yeah, there has been cases where a solo female has gone to look at these handmade, homemade crafts with a stranger and didn't turn out so well, from what I understand. So obviously just don't do that, avoid that entirely. Then there's the obvious that's kind of in every city, every tourist city, is the taxi scams. Just got to be careful with taxis. Generally avoid jumping into a taxi right off the street. Ask your hotel to get a taxi for you. Make sure that they use the meter, or at the airport, go directly to the outside taxi line. the last one that causes potential major problems for tourists in Istanbul. And this one targets solo male travelers. That is the bar scams, or the club scams, or the beer scams. And that's primarily around Istiklal Street. So what's going to happen in this situation is you're going to be walking down Istiklal Street, just checking things out, probably in your first couple of days after arrival, because it's where all the tourists go. And some random stranger that's all of a sudden seems super friendly, he's just going to come up to you saying, hey man, where are you from? Hey brother. Or they're going to find some compliment for you, like, oh, I like your tattoo, or I like your beard, or you look Turkish, or something like that. And whatever it is to kind of, break down your guard and appear as friendly as possible. And just the whole usual thing, where are you staying, how long are you staying, how long have you been here? And they're just going to start walking with you as you walk. And then basically, eventually, there's going to come to, hey man, why don't we go get a beer? Why don't we go have a beer and we can talk about your trip and what you're planning to do and all that kind of stuff. And as soon as that starts happening, right off, even before that, you should know that's a red flag. But anyways, the way it works is initially they just take you to, like a little spot to grab a beer down one of the side streets off of Istiklal. And so far you might think, okay, nothing seems too scammy or whatever, and you'll have a beer or two, and they might try to get you to pay, or they might even pay for your beer. They might even pay for your first beer. And then next is where they start to reel you in. After that, they say, hey, why don't we go to a club? My friend has a club nearby, good drinks, maybe they'll say, oh, there's girls there, and that kind of thing. And if you get roped into that club, you're basically screwed. You're basically hooped. Once you get into that club and start having a few drinks, even if you don't have many, even if you only have 1 or 2 or 3 drinks, then that original guy, he disappears, and then you're stuck with the tab. And you might think, okay, even some 2 or 3 expensive club drinks, even expensive club drinks, maybe $10 each, $30, maybe even $15 each, $45. Okay, your bill is going to be hundreds of dollars, even $1,000, even $1,500 or $2,000 for your 2 or 3 drinks. Big old cruise ship up there. All right, so now you're faced with a $1,000, $1,500 bill for your 3 drinks or whatever it is. The original guy's gone, and then 3, 4, 5, big bouncer dudes basically show up and start standing around you. They will not let you leave. They basically are going to threaten you until you pay. And there's very little you can do in that situation. There's too many of them. And if you don't have that cash to pay, or you don't have a card to pay, they will basically escort you to an ATM, 3 or 4 of them. They will escort you to an ATM and basically demand you take out that money and pay them, or threat of physical harm. Basically, they're going to threaten to beat the crap out of you. You might think, well, maybe I can keep an eye out for a police officer. From the stories that I've heard, the police officers have not been very helpful in these situations. I don't know, I'm not saying that they're in on it or not in on it, but they just, from what I understand, not been very helpful in these type of situations. And if you do get the police involved, or they do get involved along with these scammers, these bar scammers, chances are, unfortunately, it's not going to really work out in your favor, because they're gonna favor the local, even though the local may be a scammer. The local speaks the local language. The police officers' English may be very limited, so you can't fully explain yourself. And it's just not going to work out well. You might be under pressure to, go to a Turkish police station and fill out a report, which is all going to be extremely difficult when you don't know the local language. So even if you threaten to get the police involved, that might not be much of a deterrent to them because they're just not going to favor you in that situation. So now, by way of comparison, there are similar scams that happen in other cities. For example, in Tokyo, and this one I experienced, but obviously, didn't get any farther than the initial scam lead. They have the Nigerian club scam where basically Nigerian men will look out for tourists. They'll come up to you, want to shake your hand, ask where you are from. Just basically the same idea, and try to get you into their club where they will basically, under guise of physical threat, basically want to get $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 from you. China has the tea house scam. In China's tea house scam, again, single male is approached generally by a single attractive female to come have some tea. And it's the same thing. Once you get in the tea house, then you're set up with a bunch of bouncers around you and scammed for hundreds or thousands of dollars. So similar. So regardless, this one is just specifically about Istanbul, but the rules apply to anywhere you're traveling as a tourist. So the lesson here is simply do not go with anybody that approaches you out of the blue. If you're a tourist somewhere and some random stranger approaches you trying to be friendly or asking you to go with them or go have a beer with them or wherever you're from, it is 99.9% leading towards a scam. Just doesn't matter. Don't worry about being rude. It's not about a friendly or not friendly thing. Just simply avoid it. Period. 100%. If you do that, if you do that, you more than likely will avoid having or experiencing any of those Istanbul tourist problems that I've just talked about. With that in mind, come down here, come enjoy here, Galata Bridge, Galata Tower, up there. The food, the kebabs are amazing. The people are friendly, 99% of them. So you can check out my other videos showing some of my experiences in Istanbul while I've been here. Anyways, I wish you safe traveling and happy travels. I will see you on the next one. Out.